If you've been hand lettering or creating logos for a period of time, you'll probably ask yourself, how do I come up with my own style? Style is all about your own personal input into the design, like it's something that you would create, that someone would just look at and say, oh, that design is made by that person. And secretly, all us designers think that we need to have our own style to get to where we need to be. I get this question on a regular basis on my YouTube channel and also on Instagram because people recognize my work and they realize they kind of look similar in a sort of way. The work maybe doesn't look similar to the other piece of work, but we know of this style and this style is yours. How do you get your own style of work? If you take a look at some of my work, you will see that all my Instagram lettering work or my logo design work for previous clients, they all have a sort of personality to it, and it's my own personality. If you take a look at some of these other designers on Instagram and hand lettering artists, you'll see that their work looks similar also. The work that they do is different, but their style is kind of the same, even though they're using different fonts and different styles to do their work. You know who's made it when you look at it. I've always been a massive fan of modern vintage design work. I think there's just so much ornamentation and so many things you can do with it. So for me, creating some hand lettering around a vintage type style is perfect. But you also know that the designer is me. Isn't that strange? It's like going into a fashion retailer's and looking at an article of clothing and you say, I wouldn't wear this, but I know who would wear this because that's their style of clothing. You see, the little things that we do in our design work make a huge impact in the end result of what we've made. The little imperfections and changes in hand lettering are what give the person who's viewing it the recognition that it's yours. Did I intentionally make my own style of hand lettering or logo design? No, I didn't. I didn't intentionally go out and say, I'm going to make my own style of lettering. I wanted to, but I knew that that would probably come over time and it would be something that I had no control of whatsoever. You can sort of stick to a kind of vintage vibe or a modern vibe. You can stick to sans serifs or serifs. You can stick to cursive or whatever. You can stick to different compositions, monoline weights and all these other different things. But that isn't just what makes your style. Your style actually comes from who you are and your personality going into the work. But I know some of you are going to be asking the question, how do you actually get your personality into the work? I mean, I'm looking at mood boards, I'm looking at Pinterest articles, and I'm also looking at my Instagram, and I can't seem to stop copying other people's work or stop copying the type styles of other people's work. So therefore, I don't feel like I've got my own style. Well, let me tell you something. You probably do have your own style. You just do not know it. Inspiration is a great thing. I get inspired by so many different things, not just in design work. I get inspired by music. I get inspired by just going for walks and seeing how the landscape is and looking intentionally on these walks for inspiration. I also go into the town centre and I look in my small Georgian town at all the signs on top of the windows and shops and see how they work together and which one is most noticeable and which one's the most functional out of the lot of them. I like to look at phone boxes and different things that have information in a very small space to see how functional it is and how they actually got the information in there to make it look good and functional and readable. All these things are great, but I think a lot of us designers and hand letterers, logo designers, whoever you are, we sort of create work because of the inspiration. I mean, we sort of sit on our computers and we have our Pinterest tab up on our windows and we have a mood board full of inspirational things that we want to design for. Maybe you're designing for a logo company and you have a bunch of pictures and different designs on this mood board. But we don't ever turn that mood board off. We just keep it there because we know that we want to have that sort of feel. But what ends up happening is that we start to not get inspired, but we start copying the work. By that, I mean we start using the exact same lettering style as the person on this mood board. You see, it's okay to have inspiration, but there is also a time to turn it off. So this question of how do I get my own style? Well, in reality, it's very, very simple. Turn off the inspiration. I don't mean don't look for inspiration. I mean just stop looking at it when you're working. I found that the way to get my work looking the best and in my personality is by obviously taking a look at Instagram, look at some of my favorite hand lettering artists and look at some of the most amazing paintings and stuff like that. I love to do that. But then I realized that when I'm working, if I'm working on a hand lettering piece and I'm just looking at my Instagram all the time, then I'm just going to be copying what they're doing and I'll never be satisfied with what's in front of me. I'll never have to make my own decisions about where to go. So how do you get your own style and to stop copying people and to be satisfied with it? Look at your inspiration before you start lettering and then turn it off. When you turn off inspiration and you're only faced with the canvas in front of you that you're working on, it will force you to create something original. It will force you to create something of your style. You'll feel like pulling out your hair a few times, but composition and thumbnailing will actually enable you after a period of time to find out the perfect composition and the perfect lettering style that has your personality in it. So how do you get your own style in logo design, lettering or graphic design? Experiment. Don't be afraid to learn from your mistakes. Be bold in your design, and also make sure your whole design is balanced so it looks good to the eye. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was a bit different this time. I wanted to sort of change it up a little bit. Even created this little thing behind me to help me with that. If you liked what you've seen, then click that red subscription button to get more content around graphic design, logo design and hand lettering. I've also got a live graphic design workshop going on at Modern Thrive very soon. So if you want to book your place for that, click the link in the description below for 30% off, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. See you later. This video is sponsored by DevMountain. If any of you are interested in learning UX design, DevMountain is a 12-week design bootcamp intended to get you a full-time job in the industry. You can learn more about this at devmountain.com or click the link in the description below.